observed from your experience in the Northeast, compared to the experience in the Midwest, and to keep in reference the latest version of your interaction. You've had some fender benders. Don't forget to talk about how the people deal with, minor infractions and things. What the fuck happened? Oh, okay. Well, now that there's a commercial and we waiting for the interview to go on, let me go ahead with our advertisements. Right now we have the chains. We have Aboriginal chains on sale. There's a special sale coming up. We don't promote that you deal with Valentine's Day because it's affiliated with some things that aren't about you, and you should research that. And if you really look into what the story is, what Valentine's.
I would say start with Romulus and Romulus before you even get into all that. Get into Rome.
Well,
Learn about Rome, and then you can go into how Valentine was a Christian who used to go around baptizing people and stuff like that, sort of say.
Okay, Brother
And
Oxygen,
teaching the
before
word.
we go into philosophy, I'm still doing the chain sales. I just want to put out to the people that you have your online jewelry that is available. Check the website out, www.wctcw123@gmail.com. Is or whatever the fucking website, I'm coming up with bullshit type thing. That's what you do. You know what I'm saying? And we also have our essential oils. We got that black soap. Put your order in, and you get that in a couple of days. And you want to let them know how important it is to not just put any old product on your body and skin. The essential oils, hair growth, nail growth, skin glowing. Essential oils are always good. We have that here. And then check the website for our sales. I'm gonna go ahead back to the interview now that our speaker has returned. So, Brother Ock, once again, just to ask the question real light, you're here to talk about the difference or the experience that you had within the black community from the East Coast versus this Midwest experience. And what do you see? What is good? What is bad? What do you see?
Well, first of all, you're still in my shine because you're supposed to handle echo.
Whatever. So that would be like the kind of lead up.
So with that stated, it's like this. I'm from the East, yeah, and I enjoy the East, yeah. But I'm gonna say it like this. I'm from the East where I get to experience a black reality, or what we would say a tribal reality, when it comes to seeing our people on a daily basis control, manage, and pretty much be bosses on a day-to-day basis in the different areas, the environments that you have out here in Chicago that you can pretty much say you don't have in Connecticut. And what I mean by that is like when you go to the banks out here, most of them is controlled and dominated by black workers. When you go to the different local stores and communities, you see mostly our people and our women wearing their, I say, natural hair and natural hairstyles. And where I'm from, you don't really see all that in Connecticut. So for me, it's a big difference, it's a big culture shock to see a lot of different people owning homes out here, as per se coming from the inner cities like Hartford and Connecticut. So it's a major cultural, eye opener to what we don't have out there in Connecticut to what we have out here in the Midwest and Chicago area. Also, it's like the people on my behalf, from what I seen on the East Coast, from the news and stuff, they told me it was crazy. It wasn't no need to come out here. A lot of murder, a lot of death, and so on. And that's not really what the people portray out here, nor what they really wrapped around. Now, they do have their pockets of problems, just like any other area that's starved of economics and put into a poverty-stricken situation. You're going to have crime. And that's a known understanding. That's why the news is there.
But those pockets are to a higher level.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that. It's not into a higher level. It's just the fact of the matter that you got more people in a bigger state than, as per se, smaller states that they try to portray a Chicago to. Because my state is a lot smaller. But when you look at the trajectory of what crime is actually about, it's the same thing happening in my community in a small scale that is happening on a major scale in a big city. So it's just the population that causes it to look like it's a lot more crime or a lot more murder when it's the same everywhere.
So that's an interesting take because what I'm hearing is that you can see that city to city across this country that poverty and hood disease and those things are prevalent and can easily be observed from community to community. It really don't matter if you're in Long Beach or if you're in Waterbury, Connecticut. You are going to have the same kind of behaviors, similar behaviors, and similar crimes, or almost that they run parallel to each other. They're exactly the same, but just more prevalent when you have bigger cities that happen. So that's an interesting thing. But you can see that, but then when you come to a large city like this, and you see a large population of black people that are doing well versus when you're home and or when you're in the Northeast or places where white is predominant and you're a black person that you experience that domination where you see the numbers where you get on the highway and most of the people are white around you versus when you get on 57 in Chicago,
Illinois. That rush hour is mostly tribal. But that's the whole statement, and it just goes back to showing you that when we got opportunity to be with ourselves, we do be all right, but we get demonized by the world. But it goes back to that old statement. Only crime exists based on resources. No resources, crime will eventually go up. You gotta eat, you gotta survive, and that's just the normal. So when you think about our plights when it comes to these cities and it comes to our people, it's a play between poor and rich inside these kingdoms, rich and poor. And then they play you with this soft middle class, which if you don't want to be poor and you can't be rich, then at least you can fall in the middle where you sort of comfortable, the middle class. And it's all bullshit. Because at the end of the day, poor is to be supported by the same resources that the rich is supposedly supposed to be supported by. So when you look at it, you got to say to yourself, what is the responsibility of a wealthy or rich so-called person when it comes to not the people? Let's just say when it comes to the resources, in the sense of recycling the resources in a sustainable fashion for other people to be able to utilize these resources. What are their jobs? If you got $20 billion and you got a city that you're from that's in poverty and you can change it around, what is your job? What is your duty as a wealthy person? What makes a poor person? What makes crime?
I mean, that goes back to an age-old question. Are you
So when you
my brother's keeper? Um, that's the idea that that's the phrase that black people use to are you willing to take care when on your come up, are you willing to take care of someone that's down? And there's a whole debate about whether you're supposed to do that or not.
no,
Now, as far as the white, as
it's
far
like
as
this. On your come up on the resources that are made for all men, on your come up of the dominance of your resources becoming sustainable for you, are you responsible for putting twice as much resources back from which it came when you obtained and took and absorbed your resources? Is it right for you to reestablish resources back when you take 200 trees, sell them all, and leave the people with no trees to go get for themselves? Is it right for you to be able to keep those trees and not replenish them in the area of 400 trees because you took two? And that's the reality. So it's not, is it my brother's keeper? It's the natural order of recycling what is made for all.
but that okay. I mean, yeah, but that's in a idea of utopia. That's in righteousness, and we're in a ratchet society. We know that people don't do the right thing for people. We know the system and the controllers of the system, they have purposely not done the right thing for hundreds of years of our history in this country, uh, the history that they talk about. Then they were, when we were considered on their level, they were, you know, cheating and lying and stealing. So, who are we expecting to help?
You just explained yourself. Your system that you, the people, created don't work. So that means you, the people who created the system, must do something about it. Bottom line, the old ways that you have used in the system don't work because the system don't work. So that means everything the system have to offer and have to deal with and everybody that's tied to it that make up the system is non and void. You got to let everything go.
Well, some people, you're gonna have people like, what are you talking about? You're gonna
Well,
have people that
you
say, I go
start
to work every day. I've
you
earned my
st-
keep.
you,
I
s-
do
you,
this. I
s-
take care of my
you
family.
start with what's written. What's written? You got written laws. Go by them. You got written documents when it comes to the people, written rights when it comes to the people. Why not try going by them for real? And everybody that's half stepping on them and not using them and not going by them, why don't you just get them out of your society without no conversation? If it's already
And
written,
how
go
do
by
you?
it
Well,
for
what's
what it
your
says.
solution for that? I mean, how do you get people out of your society? We're upset. Donald Trump is
You do a
on the
purge.
television. He's talking about he's deporting Mexicans. He's
Well,
building a wall. Now he's taking away lottery to build the wall. I mean, he's calling all out war on.
well, Donald Trump.
So I mean, but you're saying that there's people. What do you mean by that? Who that? So you're saying that there's a society, we're in a society, and that the what people are supposed to be expended out of this society? Who are we supposed to eliminate?
Before the votes, the people came together and made the congregation and built the government of right and wrote the Declaration of Independence
Well,
and the Constitution and the
they
rights.
stole that
But
from
no doubt,
black presidents
but
that were already here and appointed and had made deals with the
yeah.
tribal people here. I mean, that was stolen. They didn't come together and write these
Well, they
documents.
stole it, and at the same time, it was here. So my point being is, because it does exist, and people have come together, and it wasn't a vote that did it when the Morocco Moors did it. It still states that it was the people that came together and did this. So if Trump is an appointed official by the people, from the people, in the people system that the people created for them to be governed by in the way that the people want to be governed, therefore it's the people's job to go out and rally and come together and get the people that they don't want in their offices out. Bottom line is their offices. They represent the people of each state, each city. All these places have their own representatives. If you don't want them, you bring the people that's in those areas right to those places, and y'all get them out that same day. See, and you do how you say, a media vote, a speed trial. They do it all the time.
But you have a society of people that are sitting behind their closed doors, and they're totally satisfied for what they see. They
Well,
see the new furniture.
that's
they
cool.
see a nice picturesque view
That's
out
cool.
their window. They can get up and go to a vacation. The system is working for them.
Yeah, but that's cool. But society, when it's going into the true order of what it's supposed to be about through the true natural written laws, rights, constitutions, and bills that was passed and actually govern us, then the people that don't govern themselves by that eventually will show forth when they come into our society, and they will be dealt with according to law and according to what societal premises say so.
But
See, the
that's
problem is we got people that are corrupted, changing bills and changing rights and going against the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution right here in our face. And we're not saying nothing. And because we're not saying nothing, they're getting away with changing our reality into a reality that wasn't written for us to be about. And we know this by just checking the true blueprints and documents of what was set up for the people to live under due to the government that they was forming. And that's it. So when you go back to the true writings, regardless of how people feel, it still states as follows. Thus gets you a whole position on where the Negroes or the so-called blacks of America actually stands in the country as well. Because now you get a real overview of who you are based on these documents and where you stand. But it goes back to that. You know what I mean? There's no perversion in a Christian country, right?
There's all kinds of perversions in a Christian country.
No doubt, but by the actual laws and regulations of what it means to be through the written word of what was written way before we decided to have these societies and these governments, states that
Yeah, but now you're talking about
there's a certain set honorable way to live.
Well, yeah, okay, but now you're saying Christian. Now you're gonna get people all worked up.
No, because this is a Christian country. So I'm speaking to what they have said they founded this country on. I'm only speaking their words. So when I speak that, they either can hear it or they're living a lie. And right off the rip, if you're living a lie, then you can understand why you have the horror channel. You can understand why you have pedophilia in your country, homosexuality in your country, murder in your country, and all the things that you cater to in your action channels on your TV. The guns that you portray as water guns under your Christmas trees when you give them to your kids to grow up to utilize and handle real guns. These are all real factors in the society that you have created as Christians under your so-called true God. That's a reality. See, so the thing is, what do you want to do about it as the people?
But they haven't wanted to do much of nothing about it.
They haven't talked about it on a whole scale.
They want to decorate the White House.
They haven't talked about
They
it.
want to go and join and go see Christmas trees in big
They haven't
metropolitan
talked about it. TV won't
cities,
talk
and
about it.
they
News
want to
won't
make
talk
sure
about it.
that when they go see these places, it's safe, and they want to have these experiences for themselves. I mean, the very people that, I don't know, it sounds like we're talking about that are supposed to fix or react to atrocities that they're living, um, are don't seem to show that they have any kind of thought about that. Their lives are working in the order that they wanted to. I mean,
Well, put it in this form. Put it in this form.
they can't see the ratchetness.
Put it in this form. Do you want a king and a queen that's going to clean up their empire for the people, or do you want a king and queen that's going to clean up their empire for themselves? These are the questions you gotta ask. See, because famine is only based on someone else having more. Poverty is only based on someone else having more. Now we ain't saying no one can't have. We saying we gotta sustain it. We can't have 20 apple trees over here for all these people over here and one over here for them when apple trees grow everywhere, but they made regulations and rules and stuff so you're not to be able to make no more over here, so you can't do it, but they can do as many as they want over here with the 20 apple trees. See, these are the regulations that we gotta put some type of understanding to. If we're gonna allow one group of people to have all the resources, then we're supposed to expect another group of people to go into poverty. That's just logical.
Yeah. I mean, but my God, it's like when you start thinking in those terms, it's on a righteousness level, and I get it, but it almost sounds, we the sheeple, and we're all on varying levels of that, but now you're talking about not just living righteously, but you're talking about, stopping McDonald's and not going to the doctor and eating correctly and all these kind of things that don't go along with the 9 to 5 schedule that you have to work to pay the mortgage and send the kids to.
See, you're thinking too far. All I'm saying is this, and I'm gonna give you another example. If the whole world went to all the oceans and all the seas and did what we're doing right now, because we're doing it now, but fished everything that was in the oceans and seas, and we kept doing that from birth to the elderly that lives in the water, what would happen to the water eventually and living things in the water? Well, we know we got this thing called extinct. So if all the animals will go extinct over time and we all fish them out, but we got the capability of breeding them and putting them back ourselves by the millions, when you think it's only logical for every person that takes 3 fish out should put 1 back, for every person that takes 3 fish out should allow 1 to get away? See, these are the theories when it comes to being sustainable for all. See, I ain't saying it's not. I'm not saying you can take 20 million and just eat them all yourself, and you're supposed to feed people with that 20 million after you did all the work. No, I ain't saying that. I'm saying if you're gonna take 20 million fish out, put 40 million fish back. It's your job. It's your job. Why? Because you the one took all the fish out. It's just logical. Dude, if you're gonna use all the oil and have all the best things, then you should be able to make it so that other people have best things too. Why? Because you're the one taking all the best resources. So you should be able to put double that amount of best resources back in society so for people to have it. And if you can't do that, then you're a tyrant. Why? Because there's millions of people on the planet that need the same resources that you take in abundance that no one else can get. That's just what it is.
Mm.
And it's the same thing when you think about the fish. If we get to the point where we selfish enough to go out there and fish everything out the ocean and don't allow it to grow or reproduce or do anything on this level of life, then we got this thing we call extinction. Everything will go extinct. So it's the same thing. If we allow people on the planet that are humans to live dominant over people and take most of the resources, eventually people are going to fall into poverty and people going to die and starve based on them eating and having the abundance of the resources that govern everybody.
Um, it sounds practical, sounds simple, but I don't know if people are ready to give up for simplicity, even though it's to the detriment of so many others.
Well, that's the basis of an empire that's out to destroy a people instead of uplift its people. See, you got some empires that, excuse me, that actually rule by power. Then you got others that rule by actual creativity and upliftment. But ruling by power is ruling by fear. And in order to have power, someone must fear you. So that's not a true authority, a true love, a true unity. If your congregation or your subjects gotta fear you in order for you to coexist and dominate over them. That is a tyrant. Thus, a tyrant don't care if you get diseases as long as he can eat and still have his kingdom. A tyrant don't care if there's murder in the streets every single day as long as he or she can live away from it and still have abundance. See, that is a tyrant king in a tyrant kingdom. But a kingdom that says, I'm here to govern y'all because I want what's best for y'all, because I want what's best for me, because I am your king, I am your government, I am the mind frame of what we will live. This is a person coming in who want to see everybody eat, everybody have apples, everybody have homes, everybody have gold, everybody, because he want his land to have that. He want his kingdom to have that. So in order for his kingdom to be that, his people must be that. So
he got. You mean like Gaddafi?
Well, many people that have come because it's not a dream. Apples grow everywhere. Oranges have seeds to grow everywhere. There's enough things on the planet to go around for all of us, as long as we keep sustaining it, keep making more of it, keep making more of it. But once we start to hoard it, then people want to die.
Well.
People want to get violent.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what we need to. You know what would be cool? Here would be a good closer. And like we talk about all this philosophizing, but maybe we should like have a theme, like have an everybody on all the videos. Everybody's like they got a thing. I'm just here to make you think about it, right? That guy, and it's cool. He just makes people think about it and stuff. Or you have the debates. You got the people. And they're here to inform you or tell you about some shit, get you thinking. So we're not doing nothing new under the sun if we were to be sitting here doing something like this and actually put it out there, right? Okay. But here we go and say, okay, so like you just had this whole philosophizing how we set sustainability. So at the end of our segment, my shit is gonna be like, okay, so what are we fucking gonna do? Because, I can't help but look at the world I'm looking at the world, and when problems of the world seem overwhelming, and I feel like I can't do nothing about it, I feel like I have to see the world within myself, and I have to do something within myself as an action toward this process. So what can I do inside myself, right? So, we're talking about sustainability. Well, I was talking on the phone with Mara the other day, and she was like, guess what the fuck I did? And I was like, what you do? She said, I grew a fucking avocado tree. I said, bitch, shut the fuck up. She said, I did. She said, it's on Google. You can look. She said, I took an organic seed. I did something with it. She said, I put that shit in the pot. And she said, Orion, that shit is coming up as an avocado seed. So maybe that's what we should do. Like, say, okay, we're going to go plant our avocado seed. You know what I mean? And that's what we're gonna do today after having that discussion. So like every time after we have a discussion, we think of some like small, minute way as individuals that we do something to, if we could get 10,000 people to sit back and do the same shit we just did on some bullshit, that's where it can be effective. Isn't that a cool one? That would be the catch club.
Yeah, with that, peace, 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 peace.
Power off.
I have to do that a few times before you